Well, Brad, I will say the one good thing about this, we did so many radio shows. We don't have to stop for commercials or worry about the FCC. Well, we just have to watch out because we don't want to put the explicit content tag on the podcast.
I do remember you having to remind me of those restrictions, so that was good stuff there.
You were like corralling a bull on the radio program because I had a certain number of commercials I had to hit when we did our show, and you would keep talking. I wanted to be like that director, like doing the. But I couldn't because we were just going. It was so good. I didn't want to cut the flow off.
We had a lot of good stuff back. The content was endless, really. I mean, we didn't have to make. You said about your podcast, I don't want to have script. I don't want to have this. I don't think we had a script but one time, and the rest of it was like, we don't need this anymore. I
think the only thing we had to print was the results to make sure we didn't place somebody where they weren't supposed to be. But. Man,
good times.
Just to focus on you, it has just been. If I go back 10, 11, 12 years, it's such a wild ride because you went from when I first realized who you were, winning modified championships, then running a racetrack, going through everything you went through with Abraham, which we'll get into later, to working for another racetrack, series directing, getting back in the race car as a spot racer, then selling the car. Like, it's just, I mean, you couldn't, it's a good thing it's nonfiction because if it was fiction, no one would have believed it.
That's true. But, the cool thing there, Tyler, is if you think, you came in when I started running a racetrack, 2010, and everywhere I went, you followed. In some way or another, you were there. I mean, when we went to Southern National, you came, worked there with boy Rich and learned a lot from him.
Rich Goldstein.
And then, we came back to Ace and tried to make things right with, what had happened. And you were right there for me. And then when I got into the Cars Tour, next thing you know, there's Tyler Williams doing the pit road reporting and running up and down the pit road, which was always fun to watch.
Yeah.
And then, we hit forks in the road, but they always seem to come back, and that's been cool. Just, one, to watch your growth, and two, know that, friends for life, just because we formed this bond at a racetrack and in a sport we both love. So that's pretty cool.
Take me back to the end of 2009. You had come off 3 championships as a driver. You'd gone through some personal things, and how do you even get to the point where it becomes a possibility of you working at Ace Speedway? 'Cause I'm sure you never would have thought about it as a driver or going there with your cousins, the Masseys and stuff. I mean, where did you even get to the point where it became a thing? Did somebody call you? Did you see a wanted ad in Philadelphia? What happened?
No, the story there, and it's got parallels as to who's actually at Ace now. I started the season 2009, ran the first 2 races. Like I said, coming off some personal stuff. I just left home the previous November, and it just wasn't the same. You didn't have the drive, and focus wasn't there. And Brian had came back. I knew it was going to take every ounce of preparation, and probably really finding the full potential of the equipment we had, and it just wasn't clicking. So just kind of quit running Ace, and had to get a new job, and was doing this and doing that. And then as 2009 progressed and on into the wintertime, I got a phone call from one Robert Turner.
Yeah.
And he's like, we need somebody to run Ace Speedway.
Because before that, it had been Doug Smith had run it in 08, and then the guy with the fake name, Larry Rose, sort of ran it in 09, and it kind of just had gone to the ground.
There was a guy in between there. I can't think of his name.
I think it was Mike Davis.
It might have been Mike Davis, because he had the energy drink. It was going to paint the whole place purple or green or something like that. I mean, it was a lot of stuff that he had in play, but it was all about the money, and he didn't get the money, and when he didn't get the money, he just left. And like you said, Larry Rose took it over because he was living in the VIP,
Yep.
which the health department did not like, and ABC, or ATF, or whatever they are, they didn't like it.
Yeah.
You know, I got a gun pulled on me my second day at work because they needed to search the premises. And
What the heck were they looking for? Did they think he buried something out there?
he wasn't there, but you know
It was his last place of residence, I guess.
yeah,
that they had.
you know, he had to get out, and then the license at the time didn't allow for any wine or hard liquor, and they were coming there to search the place, and I come out of the office and they drew on me, and I'm like, whoa.
These are feds. This ain't Barney at the police department.
They ain't playing, and I'm like, what have I just got myself into? But you know, that was kind of eye opener as to what actually had been going on, because you know, they had quit focusing on the racetrack. It was all about the go-kart track, and they were doing run what you brongs on Friday nights just to get somebody over there. And I remember going over there with Mickey Crutchfield's ground pounder, and we had 16 cars in the pits. And they's like, all right, we got too many cars. We're going to split you up. And I was like, where have we gotten to where 16 cars is too many to run in one race at this racetrack?
That's wild to think.
Yeah, and it was, you know, it was like, wow, y'all have lost it. You know, in that, when Robert called me, I was like, you know what? I'll give it a shot. I mean, I've done a lot of stuff. I mean, we've basically taken TDS to the, you know, the second largest graphics thing, and, you know, I ran the production and all the scheduling and everything like that. I was like,
Y'all were rapping for the Gibbs team, weren't you?
Doing Gibbs, Bill Davis, old Ginn Racing, which was the U.S. Army car, and Skittles cars, you know. So, I mean, we on the cutting edge of that, and, you know, got to know a lot of people on the higher ups. And the more I thought about it, I was like, you know, I can call somebody. You know, I got Humpy Wheeler's number if I need to really know what's going on. But,
yeah,
you know, we'd grown up at Ace. We knew how it was and what it could be. And, you know, we forgot to put the flag up opening night 2010.
I forgot that.
Yeah.
I remember the first thing I remember about opening night, I remember, you know, it was my first ever race to call. And I remember going down to the office, and the ASA people were down there,
Yep.
and you were on the phone with Kelly Shirley,
Yep.
and he had given you the Camaro to have the pace car. Otherwise, I don't know, what were we going to use for the pace car?
Ambulance.
That's the only thing we had.
I was going to use the ambulance.
Yeah.
And he called at 4:30. We decided to do it because when I went to him, he's like, well, we'll do an Impala or Malibu. I was like, no, I don't want no family car. Camaro's just come out. That was the first year of the Camaro.
They had done the Transformers movie, and it was really big.
Bumblebee thing. And he's like, I don't think we can do that. And at 4:30, he called and said, come get it. I was like, there's no way I can come get it. And Dennis Huth with ASA, they booked over there and picked it up. And I think I had that car for 6.5 years. That was
a good ride.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Well, I think it probably helps set the table a little bit about how we met, because there's two different stories on this. I came to know who you were, and you're going to have to expand on this story. When my grandpa died in 2002, I quit going to Ace Speedway as a fan because, number one, I didn't know no one who would take me, and number two, I really just didn't want to go.
It's a little bit of heartache there, yeah.
Yeah. So in 2008, I remember I went back one Friday night for a weekly show and just really enjoyed it. And then my buddy Benton Fogelman went with me the next time because the touring series, the UARA late models, were coming in town. Bubba Wallace, I think Matt DiBenedetto was in that race, Jason York.
Alex Shantz, I think, was.
And before we get to the main event, the modifieds are running, I think, a 30-lapper, and you and Gary Young Jr. put on theatrics on the front stretch. So now I will turn it over to you now to tell the story of the last few laps of how you and Gary ended up in this, what ended up being a thriller on the front stretch before the main event even happened.
Well, I mean, I had full intentions. That was the first race of our chase. They had the format back then that the top 10 in points would run, I think it was a 5 or 6 race deal at the end of the year.
Like a reset.
Yeah, and so really, by the point thing, you didn't have to be there every week as long as you could stay in the top 8 or top 10. And we had got to the point that really didn't need to be there. So we just started focusing on that new car that Mickey had bought, and we knew it was a really good piece. And then when the opening night of the Chase, which coincided with that event, we break this thing out, and it was like, it's over, guys.
And you and Gary had been kind of head to head every week.
with the old car, and I had some great nights and some really fun nights, and Jason told that one story about what was wrong with it, and I said it wouldn't fit in the trailer, and it was intense, but we knew we had Ace in the hole with that white car, and we had turned it into a snooze fest, but then we started getting cautions at the end of the race, and that car was notorious about 2 laps before it came in.
Yeah.
And so on a restart, you had to just hold on to it because it would push, and
it opened the door for Gary.
and I after the third one, it's like we're starting to run out of laps here. We're going to have this last restart with 3 laps to go. It's going to be all we can do to get the car back to where it needs to be and get some breathing room. And of course, Gary can wheel with the best of them, and 3 laps with him is like stirring up a hornet's nest.
Yep.
They're coming for you. And sure enough, that thing went in, it pushed up, and when it pushed up, he got to the inside, and it was like, oh boy, I got to hold on. And taking the white flag, he done nosed out in front a little bit, and it was like, I'm not going to lead 29 laps of this race and then lose it to him.
Yeah, of all people.
on the last lap. So we're going down the backstretch, and I got to make up a car length. And I said, screw it, I'm going in here. And I took it in there deeper than I've ever been, and I done planned on hitting the wall coming off of 4 just because I knew it wasn't going to.
You clinched up for it. You knew it was coming.
It wasn't going to make the turn, so I knew it was coming. I was like, I got to do it. And sure enough, we drive in there, and he's doing what he has to do. And I bounced off the wall, hit him, but at that point, I was like 2 feet in front of him. Yeah. So I just turned left, and we went across the line sideways and all hooked up and crashed down there at the dang guardrail. And I was like, whew, we did it.
Then we take a turn for the worse.
And I look at him and give him the thumbs up, and he goes to pull off and stops and backs up over the car, and it was over then. So if you met me that night, you heard some of the stuff that I was called, and some people liked it, some people hated it, and but the ones I remember did not like me whatsoever because there was some choice words coming out, and
it was a thriller in the stands. It was that made me a Brad Allen fan.
Well, I mean, I didn't know that I had many
that weren't with your last name or bloodline.
Yeah, but I was always when I ran late model. I mean, we weren't very good. I mean, but back then, I know why we weren't very good because all you had to do was look at who we were running against, and it was it was a who's who. It was like this Martinsville race. I mean, like, heck, no wonder I ran 12th. 12th is good.
Yeah. Well,
and it, so it, but we hit the modifieds and kind of found our sweet spot, and, we're able to fit our budget, and, just had a lot of fun with that. But, actually, that's probably one of the best races that's been at Ace, and I'm going to venture to say in the modified division it is the best race.
It's funny because in my memory, the UARA race was good too. They were 3 wide coming to the checkers, and a 14-year-old Bubba Wallace almost made it 4 wide before somebody told him to back out.
Yeah.
So it was 2 great races, but I just remember that one because it was my favorite thing about Ace Speedway. You interview the top 3.
Yeah.
So we had your point of view, we got Gary's point of view, and I don't even remember who ran 3rd, but they just had a great view.
I couldn't even go to Victory Lane. They had me over at the flag stand.
You were restrained.
Yeah, and I'm going, I thought it was a good race, Gary, but you know what? This next one's going to be even better. And, and then I do remember saying, I was like, they brought these guys in from out of town to run. If they can match what we just did, you guys just got your money's worth, because right now you got your money's worth already. So it was, like I said, you get fired up, and that was definitely, you wanted to you wanted to kind of set the stage, for those next 5 races, or ever how many they were, and knew we had to win that one and put pressure on everybody else, and that's just kind of how it worked out. So it was, and then had to come back with the old car,
the chrome car,
the next race, because that one was tore up and we had to fix it. So it kind of messed our plan up, and I think I run third, but I shadowed Gary the whole time. I was like, I had people standing on their feet waiting for something to happen. I was like, I really wasn't even supposed to be there. I was supposed to be suspended if one of your crew members get in a fight, and we had to talk to Doug Smith into letting us both come back and say, hey, if we're not here, this thing's over. If we're here, you got gold. So let's pretend.
Let's figure this one out.
Let's pretend the other stuff didn't happen.
There you go. Now we'll fast forward to when you meet me, 2010, I think it was either January or February.
It was February, because I'd taken over. I took over February 13th. It was right before Valentine's Day. And my first night, I had a dance recital, and then, we had the go-kart banquet, or the Ace Speedway banquet's what it was.
Yeah.
But it was more go-karts than it was race cars. So I had to go do that, and then had to leave there early to go to my daughter's dance recital.
Where did they even do that? Was it at the Shriners thing?
No, it was at the Mebane Arts building.
Oh, okay. Where they did the fireworks.
Yep. And, they had it all set up, and it was Johnny Fogelman's show and the other guy that was with him, and it was like,
hey, I'm here.
What am I supposed to be doing? Well, I was going to hand out the awards. I guess you can go. I was like, I'm not going to be here the whole time, but I do have to introduce myself. And, so that kind of, like I said, I didn't take over the banquet, but they had to change the banquet to accommodate me, and that might have ruffled some feathers, but what they were doing wasn't working.
Yeah.
Because when I come in, it was like, hey, I ain't worried about no go-kart track. You can sit over there if you want to. Ace Speedway is that ribbon of asphalt.
Yep.
And we're going to get it back to where I remember it and what everybody else remembers it.
Yep.
Which was Friday nights. We're going to go see some racing. Nobody came to watch go-kart races.
No.
So, like I said, needed an announcer, because what was there, I got called Mickey Crutchfield all night.
For a whole race.
For a whole race until I got out of the car. Like, oh, what are you doing in there? It's like,
nice to see you too.
Yeah. Do you know how old Mickey is?
Old enough.
If Mickey could drive like this, then I should have been watching him race. So.
He was Barry Beggerly before Barry Beggerly.
Yeah,
apparently.
that's for sure. But I, like I said, I knew then that we needed, couldn't get Lenny Baticki back, because he done gone on to bigger and better things.
Yeah.
I knew what Leon Setzer meant to the place, and it was like, we got to find somebody that knows the spirit of Ace Speedway. And I don't know if you remember it, but your audition was, you came in and kind of give me, I've been doing basketball at Averett and all this, so I knew how to call games. I was like, okay, well, do you know how to call races? Well, that's what I'm here for. I was like, okay. So if you know all this stuff about Ace Speedway, give me the last 5 laps of 2008 late model race.
Yep.
And you fell right into it like I was watching it all over again. And I was like, you're hired.
Yep.
Let's do this. And then from there, we kind of molded what our show needed to be. And I'm thankful to say that every time I see you doing stuff, there's so many people that, oh, you're going to be there, or you're going to be there. And it's just like, this guy's got them.
I remember the first night I scared you. The second Friday night, the first Friday night, there was one of the guys from last year that stayed on, and the second race, I think he had something come up last minute or whatever. And I remember you were nervous because I was going to be by myself up there doing it, and I didn't really know what to say to calm you. I was just like, let's just go about it and go. And then I think by the end of the night, I think you were like, okay, I think we're good.
We don't need nobody else. I mean, and that, and like I said, that was that was like the aha moment. And you don't realize that. You don't plan for that. Things like that happen, and when they happen, it's like it's meant to be. and then the stuff we did together, through Facebook was just getting started, and we kind of
we were posting every day.
We put benchmarks on, hey, if we get this, we're going to do this. If we get this, we're going to do this. And, it was always...
And we followed through on it.
Y'all, we're going to entertain you for following us. And we're going to, it was funny to us, so it had to be funny to them. Some of it was pretty corny, but at the same time.
Yeah, that drag race on the front stretch.
Yeah, true drag race.
That was a true drag race.
Drag. Which I did win, by the way, but,
No way I won.
They say you won, but I did everything the correct way. Your stockings were hanging 1 foot off of your feet there, and I tried to get them all the way up. So, like I said, it's like lug nuts. You got to have 5 lug nuts. You got to have all 5 toes in the tip of the stockings, and you didn't. For
those that weren't there, the premise of this drag race was me and Brad would start at a certain point. We were wearing dresses and wigs, so we were dressed in drag. We had buck teeth in our mouth. We had to hula hoop. We had to wear high heel flip flops, and just a bevy of obstacles, and then get to the finish line. And I remember I told you, I said I never got such a dirty look as going in a Goodwill to buy a pregnancy dress, because the form-fitting ones did not fit my form. Yeah. So I got the pregnancy one. I was like, man, they give you dirty looks when you try those on.
I was working on the belly about then too, so we had to get some large ones. That was pretty funny. Had the wigs. Like this price. Yeah. That picture pops up every now and then, which is, all you do is shake your head and go, the things we did to entertain
because people. We got 2,000 likes on Facebook.
We got 2,000, then it was 5,000, and I think it ended up like 14,000 or something like that. It was crazy.
You let me drive a car, and that was a stressful night.
Yeah, I feel so sorry for that man.
We'll table that one for now.
Yeah.
So 2010, you coming in, you're having to basically reassess everything because it had just gone so far south. What was, if you had to pinpoint it, what was the toughest thing you had to deal with in just getting people to give the place a chance and come back through the gate? What was your top obstacle?
Our first thing was, had to restore our image, and we had NASCAR sanctioning in 2009.
I never would have known that.
But they didn't have any cars, and they weren't sending NASCAR any money, and you still had to send X amount of the purse, and then you still had to pay for the sanctioning. And, we don't think we need to pay it. And then NASCAR sends a bill for $35,000. And Abraham's like, I'm not paying it. And then he turns around and sues NASCAR, which...
I never knew that either.
That's a law firm. Was what NASCAR is, a bunch of lawyers. And it was like, what are you doing? So NASCAR was not an option. And so the next thing was, we got to get, I didn't know, so we had to get a sanctioning body. And we got ASA, which, we'll take you. Dennis Huth was with Winston Racing when Ace first got their sanction, so he knew all about, what Ace Speedway could be. And then it was, guys, I know you hadn't been paid, or your checks have bounced, or, you hadn't been running here, but I'm going to pay you cash at the end of the night. So,
I remember that was one of your stipulations in one of the articles. If we don't have cash in the envelopes, we won't open the gate.
Corey Latham interviewed me my first practice there, and he's like, what are you going to do about purse? I was like, my stipulation is if I don't have purse when the gates open, before the gates open, then I'm just going to call the race off.
We're not going to go and chance it.
I'm not, I can't risk that. Well, Abraham didn't see it that way. Oh, I'm going to send you money, but you don't need it right now. You're getting ready to have a big night. You'll get money in. I'm like, I don't know that. How do you know that?
It's not a guarantee.
You're supposed to send this a month ago. But we had to dig a well and do all this other stuff. And he was like, I'm not sending no more money. So the first night, opening night, went against my...
You had to go against it on the first
on the very first night. And you know what?
How many gray hairs did that pop?
I'm fully gray now, according to some people, and that's where it stopped. That's where it started, because I've seen pictures from back then. I was a dark-headed gentleman. Now I'm a very light-headed gentleman, and gentlemen use the term loosely, but 4 years, or basically 5 years, of 2010 to 2014, we ran that place without purse money when we opened up.
Yeah,
but
boy, that sounds stressful.
We pulled it off.
Yeah.
I mean, and it wasn't. There were some nights it wasn't real easy, but you know what? I trusted it. I trusted the people that supported us, and it turned into something really special. I mean, we had, Rodney Cook had a chance to win the national championship ASA the first year. Barry Begley won it the second year, and Dustin Rumley, for lack of us not knowing what that
algorithm was,
quote unquote formula was, he would have won it the last one. But that's when we realized that we didn't need ASA, because they were taking advantage of what we were doing.
Yeah.
So it it just turned into, and you think back then, man. I mean, Dustin and Rodney and Barry, and
a very young Dustin Rumley.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it was some awesome stuff. I mean, and the fact that they trusted us to come back. I remember our first race. We didn't have a huge car count, and I'd always walk around and talk to people.
That was one of the instructions you told me.
Yep.
Was when we sat in your office. You said, know their sponsors, get to know them, and you always said the term, shake them up.
Yep.
Go shake a hand, tell them thank you for being here.
Yeah, and and they'll loosen up. They'll start talking to you about just real stuff, and not just driving the Budweiser Chevrolet. It's you get to know these people, and then that's kind of what you were great at. I mean, you took my instructions and went above and beyond what I ever expected, and that's why one, you became as good as you are at what you do, because you get that extra, and when you do the extra, people expect extra, and that's what sometimes they can get you in trouble. But at the same time, you're giving the people what they want. And that first time I walked around the racetrack, there was probably 30 drivers in the stands.
I remember seeing people in the stands that I knew just
it was like,
and I was just a fan.
It was like, where are you at?
They wanted to see if it was going to.
Man. I mean, this happened. I was like, I'm here. This is me and you. I'm not going anywhere. I can't run off to Philadelphia or back to California or Tennessee or wherever I'm right here. And we've raced together. We've raced against each other, and I've watched you. You're my hero. It was just like, I need you.
Yeah.
And then I think it was 3 or 4 races later, we had a parking issue.
Yeah, we had too many cars.
We had 97 cars in that pit.
I don't know where we were going to. I really didn't know where we were going to put them.
And that's not using the back.
Yeah.
If we'd have used the back, we could have done it. But we tried to keep everybody inside, and it was like, all right, guys, let them park like this. Now we got to move. We got to get people in here, and we had to start putting Alan Lewis
in charge of
head
the parking.
of parking. It was pretty cool.
I know, just countless events. Too many. I tried to go back and count before I came over here, and I couldn't count them. But was there any one event in kind of that first little stint up till 2014 where you kind of just sat there and you looked around and you were just like, I want to say fulfilled, but like, where you just you took stock of it and you were like, man, my effort paid off. Was there ever any night?
It happened about every Friday night, because one of the things I would do was, you'd have to ride around and get change here or drinks here or food here, and one of the things I always waited to do was turn on the parking light at the top of the driveway.
Yeah,
where it split at. So I'd wait till it got dark, before that, and I'd just ride up there, and you don't realize how much of a rise that is. So I'd park the golf cart, and I'd flip the lights on. I'd just go sit in the golf cart, and you couldn't see the front stretch obviously, but you could see them, tops of them coming out of 4, then see them go into 1 and 2, and then head down the back stretch, and you could hear them, but you could also hear you, and that was just my moment each night of going
to kind of be alone.
This is what we're doing is right. But the aha moment had to be, I guess it was 2011 when we were doing the Madhouse stuff, and we decided that we were going. That show was hugely popular, in 2010. So in 2011,
it was the Labor Day Monday show.
Yep. Jeff Button was like, "We can do this," and so we, Bowman Gray their season was over with, and it was like, "Hey guys, let's bring that show to a real racetrack and find out what you got." And that first one, I mean, they say the biggest crowd over there was, 6,000, 6,500 people for the Hooters Pro Cup race. We had 6,000 people, and I don't know where you would put another 100 people.
From the pictures, there was people standing on the ground.
Oh, it was a college game. I mean, they were there tailgating at 9 o'clock in the morning, for a 2 o'clock start. And it was just droves of people. And it was like, there's no way we got enough food.
Yeah.
We had to go to Zach's and get their hot dogs, their French fries, and Jim's Tasty Freeze. We had to go over there because they had the same stuff.
Yeah.
And we had to go over there and just get the basics to get by.
Yeah.
And had to do that twice or 3 times that day just to keep concessions going.
That's a good problem to have.
It was crazy. I mean, but I still see those pictures and still remember that. And like I said, that wasn't a regular Ace Speedway show, but it showed you the draw that the racetrack had in the region and what people thought about it. They loved the track.
Yeah.
You just had to operate it right, and if you do it right, they'll be there.
Mine for me probably was when you got the super modifieds down there, the MSA.
Oh, wow.
Because I remember, I don't know about Liquid Lou Ciccone.
Man.
I remember I was nervous for you because I was a little worried. I was like, these aren't cars our people are used to seeing. And there was times where touring series would just not draw as many people because it's not the people that the fans are used to.
We found that out the hard way.
Yeah. And I remember the thing, just looking at it, it looks nasty. The motor's off on the left side. The wing goes up and down, and they fly. And I was scared because I was like, I know I'm going to like it, but is people going to come out to watch it? And seeing the look on people's faces, I know I had the look on my face when they went zooming by. The announcer from Whaling with Wingside Up, Bobby G, called you out under caution for the look you had on your face. Oh, yeah. And that night I was just like, wow.
Never seen nothing like that.
It was unbelievable.
The vapor trails and, the stuff those things were capable of. I mean, I think it was a 2-night show, wasn't it? Was it a 2-night show?
That first, it was the next year we were going to do 2, that's and then
right.
they broke the sanctioning up.
Yeah. Because I think that's the very first time that the Canadian national anthem was played at Ace Speedway too.
You said something about that one. You were like, now we got a show.
Yeah,
and you got to play 2 national anthems.
Yeah, if we, they do it at hockey games. I was like, hey, we got 10 people from Canada here driving, and let's do it right.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you think back on it. I mean, we probably forget more stuff than we talk about.
Honestly, yeah.
Which, sometimes a good thing, But,
yeah, there were some nights that it was definitely good to forget.
Yeah, but and that's really a testament to as you grow older. And I'll use Gary Young as another example. Rodney Cook as an example. When you were living that and doing the things that that guy's pain in my butt. I just hate him. And now, 10 years later, Rodney's a little long with us, but as we progressed and got to know each other, I mean, Rodney was a dear friend. Gary Young
spoke at his funeral.
Yeah, Gary Young's the same type of friend. It's just it's amazing that how this sport gives you so many good memories, and then you forget all the bad stuff.
Yeah.
because when I left, I mean, it was just bad. There's nothing this place can give me anymore. Yeah. And then when you leave it, you're like, the place gave me a lot.
Yeah.
I just couldn't see it because we were fighting so hard and going against everything. I mean, first 3 years was Abraham, and then we left. We went to Southern National. And at Daytona, there was a deal that the Hackett's were going to get Ace and get sanctioning, and it was like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah,
if they can get sanctioning, I can get sanctioning.
Yeah.
And it didn't work that way, and we fell right back into the tempest, so to speak. And we made it through 13, which was the wettest summer in history. I had 12 rainouts. I mean, upside down. People had given me money to do it, and then Rodney passes away, and it's like, well, here's year 2014. We've got to have
the season of 14.
We've got to have 14 for 14.
Yeah.
And that, that got us out. I mean, we kind of made up what we lost in 13, but there wasn't enough to do another year, and that's when everything started falling apart.
So what gets you timeline me now to 2015? Because now 2014 is come and gone. I remember you and I had spoke, and I had kind of had my fun, and I said, all right, I think after this one I'm done. And you confided in me that it was the same thing. 2015 comes, the Bill Catania group comes in, yep. Randy Myers is running it, goes belly up on the finances, and I remember you called me.
Not halfway through the year they did that.
Yeah, and I did not expect your phone call. I really did not. How did that come about?
Ann and I drove to Philadelphia, because given what had happened before we came in 2010, and then when we leave in 2014 and these guys come in and do the exact same thing that happened in 2009, it's like, okay. And I remember talking to Abraham. I was like, look, you can get a lot of people in here. You can take a lot of resumes. I said, there's only one person that's going to fix this right now. And this is what it's going to cost. And Ann and I rode up there. And my premise was, I'm going to have a check if I announce it when I come back.
Yeah, if I ain't got the check, you're not.
That was what we talked about. What did we do, Ann? We left without the check.
Just like opening night when you said you wouldn't open the gate without the money in the envelope.
And did it again. It was like, wow, I'm not a glutton for punishment. But you know what? That place meant so much, and people were hurt.
Yeah.
They were hurt. I mean, that was a lot of money.
There's a lot of bounce checks to drivers.
People that had supported me had supported them just because they trusted what Ace could do for them. And then those people did the same thing to us. Like, hey, man, I gave a guy $2,500. And I ain't got, now we ain't got no races. I ain't going to have no VIP thing, So we had to make all that right without recouping any of the money.
You had to honor that without getting the money.
Yeah, just to try to set it up for somebody else to do it right. And, thankfully, we got local people there now.
Yeah.
But, the other stuff that happened after that, it kind of reset the whole platform for Robert and Jason. And, they're having to see what I went through.
I remember the speech you gave after that first race back, because you had to organize the people to come over there and weed eat the place and get it where it could even host a race.
It was an army.
And I remember after everything was done, we always had our kind of de facto staff meeting behind the tower, and everybody was there. I think had been there from before, a few changes. And I remember you told everybody, you're like, this isn't my job. Brad, you had to address yourself in the third person. You're like, Brad works for Home Depot. Brad don't work for Ace Speedway.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what, that's what we were doing. I mean, it finally got to where I had to leave Home Depot because,
the time it takes.
We had out of the 2 months, it was like, it's getting ready to work again. And, that season didn't end well because the way the schedule worked out, and we got rained out on late model championship night, and we had to postpone it till the next week, which coincided with the Martinsville test.
Car count got hurt.
And I knew
it was just not going to go good.
Like I said, it went from 6 to maybe 7 cars when Catania had it, and it even got down worse than that because they had to run some of them with limiteds and whatever. And as soon as we come back, it was 20, 22, 20. You know, it was like, yeah, get you some. And then that last night we had 6, and we had to do twin 50 or.
We had to cut the race short.
Well, we had to do twin 50s or no, it was supposed to be a 100 lapper for the championship night. So we had to move it to where everything was championship night. And I had 6 cars, and I was like, I'm not going to put 6 cars out here for 100 laps. What do y'all want to do? I said, I'll pay you for your tires. I'll just load up. I don't want to do this to you, and I don't want to do it to the fans.
Yeah.
And they ended up choosing to run a 50 lapper, which those guys there still, out of those 6 cars that were there, was still a heck of a show. But I just felt bad because one, it wasn't our doing.
Yeah, just circumstances.
I still see the signs out there, restore the roar. And when we had that first one, man, it was
a big
it's like
one.
It never left. It's like our racetrack's back. I'm still waiting for that to happen. The Rodney Cook race is always going to be a good one, but I can't wait until the Friday nights get back to where they used to be.
Yeah,
and that's really going to be.
Yeah,
we got it.
Starstruck moment in your office, because as time went on, when we were there, everybody's kids started coming. Harrison Burton comes, Jeb Burton comes, John Andretti's son Jarrett,
Ernie Irvin.
Which one starstruck you the most?
There was no question. Another UARA race. Junior Johnson calls and wants to come over there and test. And he gets there early. The trailer hadn't got there yet. And I go there, and next thing you know, I'm looking at the greatest American hero, face to face, in his bib overalls at Ace Speedway.
Yeah.
And he said, so, who could show me how to get around here so I could talk to my son about it?
Oh.
And I'm like...
You had to be levitating off the ground.
And I'm like, really? You need somebody to show you how to get around a racetrack? And he's like, well, everything's got its nuances. I was like, hold on one second. I went over and got the Camaro, and I'm making laps as to what that thing will do or what I felt comfortable with it doing. And he's sitting in the passenger seat, and I'm talking to him about the line, about you can do this, you can do this. And 1 and 2 back then was basically got to play with the guardrail. 3 and 4 was kind of an open book. And I was like, this is how I do it.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, thank you. And he's like, now I got to go talk to my boy. I was like, well, there's the car. Take him for a ride. So here I am giving instructions to Junior Johnson, who then gets his son, and he's doing the same thing I was. I was like,
yeah.
If you wreck it, you wreck it.
I will post this, and it will get news articles written about it.
Junior Johnson wrecked our Camaro, which wasn't like the stunt guy getting in it that night from ASA that did that did the Transformer movie, and we thought we told everybody somebody had stolen the car. When Jeff Doucette was riding with him, it was like, hey, this guy's going to do a lot of stuff to this car.
Buckle your seatbelt.
If you'll ride with him. He goes, heck yeah, put me in there. And that was a show. He literally... I was like, oh.
I still think we're the only racetrack.
That wasn't me.
I still think you're the only promotion that brought an Elvis impersonator. Remember that night? Well, Wayne Eulis came out there as Elvis.
Did a couple times.
Yeah.
Had a concert on top of the concession stand.
And people loved it. I thought they were going to be like, man, this is stupid. They loved it.
Elvis here. And then it was like, yeah, Elvis can come to Ace. He ain't dead.
I think he did 2 or 3 songs. He sung the national anthem. And then he came in the tower, and he's standing behind me. And like you were back there too, and I was just like, he had the look. He had the look down pat.
He said, "Do I talk to Elvis?" And I was like, "Yeah, everybody talks."
Why not talk to Elvis? If we'll talk to Mother Nature on a radio show, we could talk to Elvis.
When Mother Nature calls, you better listen.
That was the best segment ever on a radio station. I think we got rained out 2 or 3 Fridays in a row.
That was 2013 because it was bad, and it was.
Mother Nature, who's in
She
the
knew
room.
she had to intervene, and she promised us good weather that night.
She had to hang up the phone because I think I made her laugh.
She wasn't ready.
All I saw was the phone. The call dropped out. I was like,
She wasn't ready for that. She was probably our second best guest as opposed to Adam Smith. Whenever he did it, it was radio gold because we never could nobody could get a word in edgewise. We were all talking over each other.
Yeah, I will tell you this because I think I told you this in conversation a few weeks back when I got this thing started. The thing I always remember, my favorite moment was after everything was done. If nobody was pissed off too bad where you were having to go down in the pits and put Band-Aids on tech decisions or things like that. And
there were many.
Yeah, there were many. And I'd go get my money, put my bag up, and go over to the VIP, and we would just sit there and might have one or two, and we would just sit there and just kind of unwind.
Yeah.
And watch as everybody, except for Ryan Gray. Ryan Gray refused to leave the track. Everybody else would leave. And
there was a couple of nights I wish Monk Tate would have left, but he didn't leave either. Those were always good ones when you get to hang around with him after the race. But Ryan Gray, he was a a bad influence.
He was a night owl.
Monk was a legend, so I didn't mind doing that. I mean, if I had to sit there with him for 2 hours and be hung over 2 days, then that was so be it.
It's Monk Tate.
But I mean, those were good. I mean, we formed some good friendships right there. I mean, sometimes they would grow to Todd Massey would come hang out with us.
That was something.
We'd have to run him off. It's like, Todd, there's no more beer in the beer hut.
No.
I can't go get you any more.
Yeah.
Because I got to have stock for next week.
This is coming out of what has to be served the next week.
Yeah.
Ziggy Zimmerman and late nights with Ziggy over
we got
in the
Ziggy
VIP.
that one night, didn't we?
Gosh, well, he got himself. He did it to himself.
Can we talk about that on the radio? I know my buzzer just went off, but it is Ziggy.
Okay.
We'll save it for another one.
Yeah, you know what? We'll save that for
that'll get them back.
a follow-up, and we'll
teaser.
go through your family tree at Ace
Whoa.
Speedway. The parts that don't require explicit content. But,
When you talking about family tree,
which family tree? You got like 8 of them.
This is right here.
No, I'm talking about the Masseys.
Oh yeah, I've always been Todd Massey's cousin. That's my surname.
There
It was Brad Allen, Todd Massey's cousin.
Well,
Which was better than Mike because Mike was Todd Massey's brother. So I guess we just had to live up to Todd Massey's name.
But I never had to worry about cutting the microphone off on Mike Massey.
No,
Todd, a few times I was like,
Yeah.
I remember, I'll put a bow on it with this one. I don't remember who it was. It was somebody. I think it was a limited late model race. Someone was mad at something. And I remember you and I would go down at the crossover gate together to go talk to the top 3. And I remember one night you told me, I know who it was. Extreme Race, Michael Neal.
Oh, boy. You gotta bring that up.
The
Wow.
real deal, Michael Neal. And you told me, keep your finger on the off switch.
Because I know what's coming.
And I didn't need that because Mike tried to grab the microphone out of my hand to say that the finish was BS.
Yeah.
And you had to intercept it.
Yeah. Whoa, timeout.
No. Well,
That's another good one there.
We'll save that one for round 2.
That's a good one, too.
No.
Poor Camaro.
Poor. On that one, I appreciate it, brother.
Hey, thank you, pal. Like I said, I don't know what time we got, but
I think we bled over.
we did it again.
We did it again. No commercial breaks, and we still bled over. But thank you, buddy.
Thank you, buddy.